Hey guys, today I will be taking a look at the 2022 Senate elections and take a look at two pretty popular forecasts for Senate races, those being Sabato's crystal ball as well as the Cook political report. Both of them have been pretty accurate in the past. So before we go any further, make sure you join Discord server if you have not, the link to which is at the very top of the description below. So taking a look at the 2020 Senate map, Republicans come in with 30 seats that are not up for re-election, while Democrats have 35. So the solid seats for the Democratic Party in this race, you have, of course, all of the West Coast, all held by Democrats. In California, you have Alex Padilla, who, of course, replaced Kamala Harris. Whether or not he gets primaried is, nobody really knows that as of right now. He probably is not going to get primaried, but in California, it's still going to stay blue no matter what. It's going to be a Democrat. Colorado is also safe, as well as Hawaii. You also have this seat. This is Jon Ossoff's seat. The website has not updated the state of Georgia yet after the runoffs. So that is Jon Ossoff's seat, and that seat is not up for re-election. So they actually come in with 36 safe seats with Jon Ossoff's victory over David Perdue there in Georgia. You also have most of the Northeast, all solid for the Democratic Party. And then finally, the state of Illinois. Now, for the Republicans, you have Idaho, Utah, both Dakotas. You also have most of the states in the south and the middle of the country, Kentucky, Indiana. These are all solid red states, as well as South Carolina. Now, many of the forecasts actually say Iowa is also a solid state, so I'm going to keep Iowa solid for right now and explain to you why I don't think Iowa is going to be solid in the actual election. So taking a look at the Cook political report race ratings, this is the 2022 Senate race ratings from the Cook political report. And they say that out of the Democratic seats, currently 4 of them are either likely or lean. Those 2 likely seats being in New Hampshire and Nevada, and those 2 lean seats being in Arizona and Georgia. So it makes a lot of sense. New Hampshire and Nevada. So Nevada currently held by Catherine Cortez Masto, while New Hampshire held by Maggie Hassan, who won her race for her first race in 2016. So these 2 seats, they are, very, very likely to still go to the Democratic Party unless the Republicans can put someone that's a really good candidate in those states. The Democratic Party has a very, very strong chance at keeping those states. It's almost 0 for the Republicans unless they can put up a really strong candidate. And you saw that in 2020, Jeanne Shaheen ran, a really good campaign against Corky Messner, who only won 41% of the vote. That's when Republicans don't put up the strongest candidates. So in New Hampshire, it cannot be close, but it can also be a really solid victory for the Democratic Party. Really depends on who the Republicans put there, but Jeanne Shaheen is a stronger candidate herself than Maggie Hassan. We also have the states of Arizona and Georgia. So these are the 2 Senate elections or special elections from 2020. Arizona with Mark Kelly and Georgia with Raphael Warnock. So they'll be up for re-election, and these are 2 states that Joe Biden won. And the good news for Democrats is that there is not a single state, not a single senator who serves in a state that Donald Trump won. So there are no Democratic incumbents in 2022 in a state that Donald Trump won. There are all the Democratic senators are from Democratic states on the presidential level from 2020, and there are 2 Republican incumbents from Democratic states, those being Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. So taking a look at the Cook political report's ratings for the 20 Republican-held seats, that's just the 20, and then you have these seats. So you have North Carolina and Pennsylvania, which are currently open, as well as Ohio and Wisconsin, that is lead, and Florida is likely. So Florida, you have Marco Rubio. He is very unlikely to retire, so he's going to hold on to his seat. He's pretty popular there in the state of Florida, and then Ohio is a lean seat. So the issue right now for the Republican Party is, if you look at this map, these are I actually wouldn't say Florida, because Florida really has no chance of going to the Democratic Party. Marco Rubio is a pretty strong candidate in Florida. But in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina, you have North Carolina, that seat being held by Richard Burr. And I'll go over here. So you see Richard Burr right there, North Carolina. In 2016, he said he would not run for another term, which means that North Carolina, a state that did go to Donald Trump, will be up with no incumbents there. And the thing is that incumbents always do better. If there's an incumbent and the state is really, really close, the incumbent does always tend to win. So taking a look at this, you have Richard Burr, who said that from North Carolina, said that he was going to retire. Pennsylvania, you have Pat Toomey, who also said he is not going to run again in 2022. And finally, just a couple days ago, you have Ron Johnson of Wisconsin saying that he would not run for Senate again. So Ron Johnson said that he's not going to run. It says here, actually, no, not Ron Johnson. Sorry about that. Totally got that mixed up. I meant Rob Portman from Ohio, so not Wisconsin, so just ignore that. So Rob Portman from Ohio, another Republican incumbent, said that he is not going to be running for re-election in 2022. And Wisconsin, you do have Ron Johnson. He said that he was not going to run for a third term back in 2016. He has changed his mind. He's not that old. He's only 65, I believe. So Ron Johnson, he could run. He has said that he wants to run for governor in the past. I think that there's a higher chance that Ron Johnson does not run for a third term. So Wisconsin, I would say that it's more likely that Wisconsin is also an open seat. And, again, this is a seat that Joe Biden won in 2020. So Rob Portman of Ohio is not on this. But you do have Ron Johnson, and then finally you have Chuck Grassley. He was president pro tempore. He's the senior Republican, so as long as the Republicans are in control, he is the pres pro temp. So basically, Chuck Grassley, he will be 89 years old. He's currently 87, and on election day 2022, he would be 89. And after a full 6-year term, he would be 95 years old. He's been in the Senate since the 80s, and he's probably not going to run for re-election. I mean, he is going to be 89 going on to 95. I mean, the chances of that are just really unlikely that Chuck Grassley is going to run for another term. So what you see here is literally the 5 most vulnerable seats that the Republicans currently hold. There's a very high chance that all 5 of these seats will become open seats. And remember, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, these were Democratic states in the presidential election. North Carolina is getting bluer and bluer, and if Republicans don't put up a good candidate, they could really lose this race. This was still close in the presidential election, but Ohio and Iowa, I think that no matter who they put up, it's not going to be the most solid of margins, but I think that they are going to pull off the victory there in the end. I don't see a Democrat winning in Iowa and Ohio at this point in time unless they're a Democratic incumbent, which, these states are, of course, open. So, that's why I think that right now the Democratic Party does come into here with an advantage. So Ohio and Wisconsin, these are the lean seats, while the seat in, I believe, Ohio, that is, Ohio, that is the lean seat, yep, so Iowa, that's solid, okay. So this is what it looks like according to the Cook Political Report. You have all the Democratic seats either likely solid or lean Democrat, while all the Republican seats there are 48 of them that are red at this point, according to the Cook Political Report. But Pennsylvania and North Carolina, those 2 open seats, are the current toss-ups. Now, taking a look at how accurate the Cook Political Report is, if you look at their 2020 Senate race ratings, they had a lot more toss-ups. So really, 2020 was a lot closer. Gary Pierce with the lean, that was pretty solid. Everything else solid, that was also pretty correct. Al Jones, only leading Republican, that was a little bit of an underestimate. But it did end up being right, though. The Republicans did win. For lean Democratic, Martha McSally and Cory Gardner, they both lost in Arizona and Colorado, so that was correct. And all of these Republicans, they all won, but you just had 7 toss-ups, and really Steve Daines' race wasn't really a toss-up, nor was Susan Collins or Joni Ernst. these other ones. Lindsey Graham, I wouldn't even say was a toss-up. So Cook Political Report is very conservative with, giving, ratings to each race. So that's why they had a lot of races that were pretty vague about who they actually thought was going to win. So that was the Cook Political Report in 2020. Take it as however you want. But I do want to take a look at Sabato's crystal ball. Now, this is another forecast. And in the 2020 election, they got every single state right for Joe Biden. The only state that they got wrong was North Carolina. They gave North Carolina to Joe Biden when it should have gone to Donald Trump. That was the only state. 50 out of 51 races, Sabato's crystal ball called correctly. Now, on this map, I have put it onto here so it's a lot easier to see. Basically, you have 50 seats that are Democratic. You have 46 of them that are solid, while you have 4 of them, Georgia, New Hampshire, Nevada, and Arizona, are lean. For the Republicans, you have 2 likely seats, Ohio and Florida, and then 2 lean seats, North Carolina and Wisconsin. But with Ron Johnson possibly retiring, I could say that Wisconsin could be in the toss-up category there, but you do have the state of Pennsylvania here as a toss-up, and this is a state the Democrats can definitely pick up if they put up a good candidate there. In the state of Pennsylvania, it's a state that went to Joe Biden, and it's a state that already has a Democratic senator. So Pennsylvania, I think that is the Democrats, the state that they can pick up with the highest chance. Next, I would say Wisconsin. These 2 states, both Democratic states, on the presidential level. So those would be the top 2 pickups for the Democratic Party. Then I would say probably North Carolina, and then I wouldn't go any further because the chances of them picking up any more seats really is at that point pretty unlikely. So these are both going to be lean, with Pennsylvania being the one toss-up state. Now, in the 2020 Senate elections, they did okay. They did say North Carolina was a flip. Of course, it did not. Tom Tillis defeated Cal Cunningham. They got everything else okay, I guess. Wasn't the best. The state of Maine, they got wrong that, Susan Collins held on to her seat, winning her 5th re-election. So there were 2 mistakes. And then the Georgia Senate specials, they just put it as toss-up. So they didn't call those 2 races. So crystal ball for the Senate races were okay, but on the presidential level, they did do very, very well. And they currently give Democrats 50, which means that according to this, Democrats cannot lose their majority because they do still have the vice presidency. The Democrats, as long as they don't lose a seat, they will stay in the majority after 2022. And right now, of course, 50-50. As for the House, things do look a little bit worse in the House of Representatives for the Democratic Party because there will be redistricting, and Republicans do control more state legislatures than the Democratic Party, which means that they would be able to draw party lines to their advantage, net them around 8 to 10 seats. And you saw that in 2010, when Republicans had control of the state legislatures, they were able to win the House up until I believe until 2018. Yeah, so up until 2018, with 2012 being the first time those new districts were used in the House. Up until 2018, 6 years, the Republicans held on to the House of Representatives. So we'll see what happens, but they're definitely going to draw those lines very, very much in their favor, the Republicans. So yeah, this is the United States Senate map. This is the Senate map right now, and if you want to take a look at the map like this, really the seats that Republicans are retiring in is Ron Johnson in Wisconsin. That's pretty likely. I'm not going to say he is retiring, but I think there's a pretty high chance of that. Chuck Grassley in the state of Iowa, Pat Toomey in Wisconsin, Richard Burr in North Carolina, and then finally you have Rob Portman there in the state of Ohio. So right now, I think that really it's the retirements that are screwing over the Republican Party. I think that if you had, Pat Toomey still running, if you had Ron Johnson saying he would definitely run, or if you had Richard Burr saying that as well, I think that the Republicans would have a very good chance at keeping the Senate, but they are retiring, and incumbents do always do better than, you know, people who haven't held the office before. So that is the main issue right now for the GOP, and that's basically it. So if you look at the Cook political report, it currently gives 49-49 with 2 toss-up seats. And then taking a look at Sabato's crystal ball, this is the new one, 50-49 with 1 toss-up election being in the state of Pennsylvania. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you join Discord server if you have not, the link to which is at the very top of the description below. Tell me down below what you think the margin for the Senate is going to be, whether or not you think Democrats will win or the GOP is going to flip the Senate in 2 years. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel if you have not, and I will see you guys in the next video.